Hi, everyone. All right, we're going to start with reviewing our home practice from last week, which was planned ignoring. And I know it is one of the more challenging skills and takes a number of weeks for it to start to feel natural often and feel really effective. So I'm excited to hear how it went. So let's go around. I'm going to ask people to share the behavior you chose to ignore, the button pushing or attention seeking behavior, and tell us how it went for better or worse. Let's kick us off though with a positive example. Anybody have a win this week with planned ignoring? Or did it at least, and felt like you were able to see it through?
I think I was able to do it this week. As you've heard before, Oliver likes to ask the same question repeatedly, and really wanted to watch TV before dinner time, and I'd answered him. And then he was asking again, but then I got distracted because the dog needed to go out, and then we were also trying to get wrapped up from getting home and getting soccer cleats where they need to
Hectic
go.
day,
And
huh? Hectic day.
it really was. And I'm still trying to, my partner is not showing up the way that I need them to. And I feel like I'm managing it all by myself. So trying to move things along and get dinner ready and also fit in
Oh,
that.
yeah. Well, Jen, it sounds like quite a hectic week for you and that you were kind of felt like you were solo on this. What was the behavior, the repeated question asking was what you chose to ignore. And tell us about you were able to ignore that and not respond when Oliver asked the same thing. Did I get that
Yeah.
right?
Yes. Yeah. So he asked right when we got it home, and I told him, no, TV time is after dinner. And then he continued to ask and was following me around, but I just continued with my chores and didn't respond to him.
Amazing. And how was that for you? How did you feel about it?
Honestly, I was distracted with my chores. So it was a little easier to just focus on one thing versus, trying to respond to him also.
Fantastic. And did you see that extinction burst we talked about where did he ramp up a little before sort of giving up on that approach?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say he was much more persistent. I was moving around a lot, as I was saying, because I had so much that I was trying to get done and get ready for dinner. And he was following me from room to room
Oh,
for more than I think he would have.
yeah. Jen, thank you. That's a great note to start on. Yeah, it takes some repetition, but that's an awesome starting point. Great to hear. All right, who else was able to try this out this week? Yeah, Nat.
So I tried it with the twins because they're always sort of bickering and fighting, and especially after school when I'm trying to wrap up my work. And um, so anyway, I was ignoring their fighting, and I don't know that it really did anything.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you decided, typically you might have engaged with that, but you decided to not get involved and they just kept at it. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean they were just getting so physical, and I just like ignored it. But I don't know. There's like they're getting bruises, and
Oh,
I don't want them to be like knocking each other's teeth out. So
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure the ignoring is working in our
Yeah.
house.
Well, what I love there is you picked a button pushing behavior, and that's exactly what we like to go for. And it sounds like you did a lovely job using the skill. I'm thinking though, if we look at Jackson and Ellie's motivation, what was rewarding the bickering? Typically, is it you getting involved, or is it the sibling that's rewarding that for them, or
Uh,
making it entertaining?
yeah, I think they're trying to push each other's buttons more than mine probably.
Yeah, yeah. So sibling conflict is a tricky one, and this usually comes up in group. It's usually a high priority for folks. But if you've got somebody else that's giving that response and feeding in, often we're not going to see that behavior drop off the way we would, if it was parent attention that was motivating it. So I think you did a lovely job with that, but it sounds like they may need some some help. They don't have the skill set yet to disengage. I'm
Yeah.
curious if there's a different behavior that you think is more designed to get your attention that could be a good one to focus on this week.
Hmm. I don't know. I mean, I guess asking for screen time. Um,
Great one. And I'm guessing Oliver, that's probably one of Oliver's repeated questions too. That's great. That's in my household as well. Awesome. So China, Jess, and Andrea, how did it go for you guys?
I don't think that, um, I don't know if it's me or just my family or our situation, but I just don't think the skill is working for us. We chose to ignore whining. Um,
Great one.
and we've tried in the past and we've, sort of given it multiple tries and they're still whining.
Okay. So I think that's a great target you chose, classic one. And so what happens is they're whining and you're just tell us kind of how that plays out.
I get, well, they're so whining happens and I say, oh, you know, got to use your big kid voice. I'm gonna ignore the whining, and then I ignore, and it does ramp up, and then it starts to go away, but then it doesn't like go away all the way.
Oh,
Like
so
it'll
irritating.
stop,
Yeah.
and then it'll start again a few minutes later about something else.
Yeah, which is just so it gets so exhausting, doesn't it? It's just dragging on in your evening. Um, as much as that is like so infuriating as a parent, you're like, "Oh, I finally got this," and then nope, it's back. I actually think China that's a pretty normal experience with this skill. And I do think, well, I wonder, do you feel like there's some benefit for the kids versus maybe another strategy of like giving a consequence, or what do you think compared to your other options in the moment?
I don't think a consequence like that, we talked about the sort of least amount to be effective. A consequence seems like a hammer on a fly situation. Um, it's more so that it just I feel like I'm just going to spend my entire day after the kids get home from school reminding them that I'm ignoring and then ignoring. Like
Ugh,
just
yeah,
and so I think yes, it's helpful, but my worry is that it's just going to be all night of ignoring because they'll
yeah.
whine for snack and then I'll ignore and then they stop and have snack. And then the next thing that we transition to, they whine about that. And so I'm just
Yeah.
worried that I'm going to be whining all day, or they're going to be whining all day, and I'm going to be ignoring it.
That is not how you want to spend your evening. Yeah. And I really appreciate China that you feel comfortable like laying it out there how it is with for us, because that's much better than saying like, yeah, it's fine. Um, here a couple thoughts. I want to make sure we can get to Andrea and Jess, but um I wonder about kind of some conversation with them at a calm time when it's not the middle of a whining for screens, and talking about what the goal is here, and making sure they kind of know that line of what's the big kid voice sound like. Can they model that for you? Can you model it? And really explaining that you're having a firm boundary about this. But I do think part of it is having to stay the course with this. It takes repetition, and it sounds like you're doing everything great. I'll be really curious to hear from you next week if to just hear if you've seen any changes in any direction. But I'm optimistic for you. I think I think it sounds like it's on a good track. Let's just end quickly with Jess. Yeah. How did it go with Ella, Jess?
I really honestly didn't have time to fit it in. And I think I'm having a similar issue as Nat with my two kids because the behavior I really want to target, which is the kind of like whining behavior, her older sister just constantly is like complaining about it and giving her that attention. And so anyway, I just don't see how I could really address that.
It's so tough because we often can't get the sibling on board. Maybe we can in some instances, but often they're just not ready with their own self-control to ignore things. I wonder if just what would be kind of an easier step this week if whining is kind of the biggest concern. Is there like some kind of slightly annoying behavior, or maybe it's not even attention seeking, but it's a battle you want to just drop this week? What would be a baby step?
I mean, similar to what others were saying, I do think like repeatedly asking for screen time is also
Okay.
somewhat annoying. It's just not, as difficult as the whining for me personally.
Does that feel doable for you for the coming week?
Yeah, I can try it.
Even if we can't keep older sister in line, I think that sounds like a great starting point.
Okay,
All right.
I'll try it.
Great.